Welcome to the Nate KG Podcast, a show dedicated to exploring the nuances of jump rope, where I talk with jumpers of all skill levels, backgrounds, and fitness goals. In this episode, I have a chat with Mimi Yu. That's at Mimi Yu on Instagram, spelled M-I-M-I-Y-O-U-U on Instagram. I followed Mimi for quite some time now and always enjoyed her attitude and outdoor jumping sessions. If you haven't seen her jump, I highly recommend checking out her page over on Instagram for some of that jump rope greatness. She was such a delightful person to talk to, and I know you all will enjoy our conversation. We cover a lot of territory in this chat and go over Mimi's experience competing in track and field, why she doesn't post all of her training sessions, how Mimi developed her style, and a whole lot more. As usual, the show notes can be found over at natekg.com. And now, please enjoy this conversation with Mimi Yu. Mimi, thank you for being on the show with me.
Oh, Nick, thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Oh, it's gonna be such a great time. I'm so glad we got a chance to connect, and I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, let me say first, before I even forget,
okay,
that I'm a big fan of what you do, Nate, in terms of podcasting or jumping rope, or just the human being that you are. I need to state this really clearly before I forget. Everything you do is kind of mind-blowing. So I really want to thank you for doing this with me and all the jumpers that you've interviewed so far. So thank you for doing this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate that. I'm happy to be doing it, you know? So let's get into this first question here. Where are you in the world, and where are you from originally?
In this wonderful world, I'm in France. Mm-hmm. I work in Paris, and I live right outside of Paris, in the suburbs of Paris, in a small city that is called Le Bourget. So I work in Paris. I was born and raised here. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm from. But my roots, I've got African roots. So I'm from a country that's called the Comoros. I don't know if you know where the Comoros are.
I don't.
You've heard about it. It's in the Indian Ocean. I think the word in English is archipelago. Mm-hmm. Islands in the Indian Ocean next to Mauritius. Both of my parents are from the Comoros. Yeah, so I've got African roots in the Indian Ocean.
That's really cool. And what do you do for work in Paris?
I work as a station manager for a company called Eurostar. Eurostar is kind of a famous company in Europe. I don't know if it is in the US. It's a train that links Paris to London via the Channel. So the Channel is a sea. So our trains basically go under the sea to go from the continent to the island of England.
Ah, that's really cool. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. So what type of fitness or what type of sports have you done?
I'm going to surprise you saying that I'm kind of a lazy lady. So yeah, really. So before jumping rope, I was not into a specific kind of sport, you know. Growing up, I had a knack for sports. So I was good at, whether it was team sports or individual sports. And I have a knack for track and field. So I did a lot of athletics growing up. And my sports teachers kept writing to my parents saying, Mimi has great abilities in terms of running, in terms of, she's got great speed, great precision in her footwork. So she should probably do something about it. But my parents were not at all convinced by this. For them, it was not a bright future. So the mentality of my parents, they're migrants from the Comoros. So for them, a bright future for their children was like, being president of France or being a doctor or being a lawyer. That's what they had in mind for their children.
That's a high bar.
Yeah, sports was out. It was not on the table at all. So whenever my teachers were saying, yeah, Mimi should do something with sports, they were like, no way. So sports was kind of taboo in our family. We didn't talk about sports at all. But I was kind of, hoping they would change their minds, but they never did. So I gave up the idea of, doing something with track and field. But I was always, watching great events like the Olympics watching TV, hoping that someday I could be the Michael Johnson of track and field, or the Carl Lewis, or somebody,
Hmm.
But my parents didn't like that idea. So I gave up the idea. And I grew up doing sports like, badminton, table tennis, ping pong. I don't know how do you say in the
Yep.
US, ping pong?
Yep. Same thing here.
Playing soccer, things like this, but not in a, competitive way, just for fun. And I started working really early. I was like 20 when I started working. And it was kind of hard to mix work and sports and doing fitness at the same time.
Yes.
So,
That's
to
very
be
hard.
honest, it's really, really hard. So between the age of 21 till the age of, let's say, 25, didn't do anything, didn't do sports at all. So I gained a lot of weight, like really, really a lot of weight. So 2 years ago, so yeah, 2017, I realized that it was time for me to find something to, get back in shape. So I started running, which was basically what I was doing when I was a teenager. But, resuming running was not the same. I didn't find the same passion I had when I was a teenager. It was kind of boring. So I have a big admiration for people who run like every day, because I find it so, yeah, you need to have your determination. You need to be really motivated to go running every single day for, 2, 4, 10 miles. I didn't have that, that passion or that motivation. So I gave up really quickly.
Real quick, I have a
And
quick question to tag on to that. What events were you running in track and field?
I did, local competitions, I was mainly on the 60 or 100 meters. I
Okay.
don't know how it does meters speak to you. I don't know.
Yeah, we refer to it the same way here for track. Although we have that darn other system that doesn't work as well as meters. But yeah, 60 to 100 makes a lot of sense. And so you were more of a sprinter then.
I was more of a sprinter. So I won several local competitions. I brought back gold medals at home, but my parents didn't see this like, a big deal. For me, it was a big deal. But for them, it was, yeah, it's just leisure. It's not going
Mm,
to bring you anywhere. Yeah. So yeah, I did several competitions when I grew up. Yeah.
wow. Okay. Interesting. So even though the fitness was very fun and invigorating, it wasn't really a focus. What was it about those events that you did, the 60 meter and the 100 meter, that was so interesting to you? Or was it not that interesting? You just naturally were good at it.
I had, predispositions for it. Um, my teachers kept saying that my body was naturally meant for that, Um, they didn't have to do much coaching, because they said that I had natural, it was innate, Um, but what I liked was, the team spirit, practicing together, winning together as a team. That's what I liked, I was always looking forward to practice, always looking forward to see my teammates. That was, yeah, so, it was really, how could I say this? It was really, it put so much energy in me as a teenager. Uh, and till I discovered jumping rope, I never found that, that passion in sports,
Interesting. So it was less about the workout and the drive to get better physically, and it was more about surrounding yourself with positive energy.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
really interesting. And so then, did you, after you took a break and you started working a lot, and you said you gained some weight, did you try going back to running, or is that when you picked up the jump rope?
I went back to running 3 years ago, but I didn't like it. So I forced myself every morning, put my sneakers on and went running, even with the most amazing music in my ears. I didn't have that, that passion. It was more like a burden rather than uh, a good moment,
And is that because you
So
didn't have people around you? Is that the difference?
I think it was the main difference. It was really individual, uh, where it's okay to have some, me time, some time for yourself, but um, I missed running with people.
Hmm.
I think that's the main problem there was.
Interesting. And so then at what point did you find the jump rope and how did you find it originally?
Um, so I was doing a Google search with my brother.
Hmm.
So I was like, I need to, burn calories in a fun way, but in the least amount of time possible. I don't want to spend too much time, whether it's at the gym or in the park. I want to do something that is really effective, but that, is kind of fun. So I made a simple Google search, which is the best way to burn calories really quickly. And I told my brother, literally, the first answer that's going to pop up, that's what I'm going to do.
That's pretty easy and straightforward.
Yeah, so I came upon a chart that said that jumping rope was the best way to burn calories in the least amount of time. And I stuck to my word. On that very day, I went to the local sports store and I bought a random rope. And on that very evening, I went to my parking lot and started jumping rope. That's the way it started, actually.
And
It's
that's it.
as simple as that. Yeah.
You said working out in parks. Have you always worked out in parks? Because I know a lot of people prefer to go into a gym.
Yeah.
What made you want to work out in a park?
Oh, because I didn't, it's really fun. I didn't like training in my parking lot because I was sweating like really quickly and was being interrupted by my neighbors parking their cars and asking, what the hell are you doing here? So on the following day, I took my rope to the park, and that's how it began. That's how I began jumping rope outdoors, just because I didn't want to go to the gym, but I didn't want to stay in my parking lot. So the easiest solution was to go to the local park. So that's the park I'm training in every day, every other day. And that's how it started, actually.
That's
That's
really
how I
cool.
became a jumper. Yeah.
That's really cool. So it just became a thing and then you just stuck with it.
It became a thing. Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. And then what were some of the early influences into your jumping style? Because you have a very specific style. And I think most people who've watched you, if you haven't, you definitely should go watch Mimi. But most people who've
I
watched you
am
jumping,
crashing right now.
yeah, no, seriously, like your style is very like. There's really no other way to put it other than like, oh, that's Mimi. Like you see it and like you have this interesting way of blending a couple different styles to make it your own, and it's really interesting to watch and people love watching you. And I'm curious, where did that start and how did you develop that style?
So first of all, thank you because I'm having like the biggest smile on my face right now. Nate, it's like, oh wow, OMG, so much. So basically, in 2017, so you need to know that I started in April 2017.
Hmm.
I opened my IG account at that time. I think it was a few months before. Um, when I started jumping rope, I did it pretty much on my own, and I was being, stupid, really stupid, jumping rope every day on concrete, have experiencing severe shin splints,
Hmm.
not knowing anything about jumping rope, but I came jumping through the pain. That's why I'm saying I was really stupid. And I had to stop. 3 weeks after I started, I had to stop, and I started documenting myself on what was the proper way to jump rope, what was the proper way to recover, what it meant to warm up, to cool down, all these kind of stuff.
Hmm.
What was the proper footwear? So the first channel I stumbled upon was the Jump Rope Dudes. At that time, they were Zen Fitness.
Yep.
Uh, that that was the very first channel I stumbled upon. They had great advice about how to warm up, how to eat properly, how to cool down, how to foam roll, many things like this. So in the beginning, I was not into, creating or making a style of of jumping, So once I, documented myself enough on the subject, I was, feeling that the way I was jumping was not matching my personality. If you know me,
Interesting.
kind of a not hyperactive person, but um, I, I, I sometimes dance my way into a room, or I shake my body while I'm waiting for the bus, or
That's awesome.
I need, I'm this kind of person. I cannot stay in place. I'm always turning my head left or right or left, always saying that it's a shame that our neck has only a 180-degree range of motion. If my head could do a 360, that would be awesome.
That's
So yeah,
hilarious. Oh my gosh.
I'm this kind of person. So, when I documented myself on how to jump properly, I bought myself a mat. But jumping on a mat was not matching my personality because I had to stick to one place, one spot. And it was not cool for me. So I got rid of the mats. And I thought to myself, well, how can you move around with your rope? How can you bring the rope where you want to bring it? How can you 180, 360, all that kind of stuff? And I told myself, there must be jumpers in this community, people that only jump rope, full stop, not people that jump rope for warming up purposes, but people that jump rope. It must be something. That's when I discovered that there was a community, that was a real community of people jumping rope full stop. And the first accounts, IG accounts I came across, very first one, the one that, blew my mind was Sonny Smith at the International Rope Stress. That was the very first account that blew my mind. She is, like, for me, the incarnation of smoothness, freestyle, expression of, so many feelings, so many, she is, the Everest for me.
Yep, the tip top. I totally understand that.
Yeah. And I continued searching. I didn't come across competitive style before 2018, so which was a year later. So before that, in 2017, I came across Bernadette Henry at Making Fun NYC.
Yep.
And she was doing what I wanted to do, 360ing, 180ing, bringing the rope where she wanted to bring it. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to be free with my rope. So that's how it began. I began, looking for jumpers that were doing this kind of, spinning around, not staying in one place, making people feel dizzy. That's what I wanted to do, But, the learning curve, there's a discrepancy between what you see and your learning curve. You have to, you have to manage your frustration. So, yeah, I wanted to do that, but it didn't go as well as I planned it, So the day it clicked is when I met Bernadette in person in New York.
Oh, you did?
I did. Yeah. In November 2017, I went to New York and she contacted me and said, well, Mimi, do you want to jump with me? I was, oh, wow. Of course I want to jump. Oh, wow. I want to do this. And before I met her, I was like, I have to 360. I need to show that I can 360. Otherwise, I will be total shame of myself.
Oh my gosh.
But I didn't manage to 360 at all. I would 180 and be stuck backwards, and I wouldn't know how to come back to a forward position. So I kept jumping backwards till I tripped. That was the exit of the movement, So when I met Bernadette, she kindly explained to me, because you also need to know that my brain has no logic. I'm like the Steve Urkel of... I don't have a clue. Sometimes I see you guys doing stuff that I don't have a clue how you do it. You're doing this. My brain is really, really slow, and I have a really slow learning curve.
I mean, I don't want to tell you how you are, but I feel like that's actually a very common thing for most people picking up jump rope. is that
Yeah.
to view all these skills, there is a lot of complexity behind all of them. So it's very common to see them and not understand what's happening.
Yeah. But I feel that I don't know how you perceive it, but is your brain, clicking really quickly when you learn? How did in
Learn the
your
skills. Yeah.
was your brain uh, understanding really quickly, the intricacy of all the movements you're doing?
Not at first, because it's the same as acquiring any other skill. The more you learn
Yeah.
about it, the easier it becomes. So at this point, because I've seen so many different skills and variations of skills and different styles to skills, I'm able to pick things apart a lot more easily now. But when I first started and I would watch videos of people doing something like swing AS open triple under, I didn't know what was happening, and it was in between a couple of other triple unders at full speed. So I could only guess what was going on, let alone figure out a way to actually break it down and learn it, you know? So what you're saying, I think, is very common because when I was learning, everything was just as mystifying to me as it is to everybody else.
That's reassuring, really.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a very complicated skill to learn because there is so much happening with both feet, both hands, how your body is positioned, and the timing of another apparatus going around you. You know, um, so yeah, I think that's very common. I'm really curious. I kind of want to double back to something you said earlier as we're going along
Yeah.
this tangent of learning jump rope. You mentioned that you started to get severe shin splints and it was hurting, but you didn't stop. Why did you not stop?
Because I was having so much fun, you want to jump through the pain because I was, learning how to do, basing things like crossovers
Hmm.
or double unders, and I was like, I cannot stop my learning curve because of pain, but I had to
Mm,
stop at some point because I could not even walk to work. So
yeah.
I was like, Mimi, you're being so stupid. You have to stop now. But the amount of fun I was experiencing deterred me from stopping. And reflecting back, it was really, really, really dumb for me to do that. Yeah.
So can I ask you then? Let's compare one of your first training sessions where you were experiencing that pain from early 2017, and then a year
Yeah.
later after you learned a lot more. What were the differences between those two practices in terms of, like you were saying, like what did you change with your warm up? What did you change with your stretching? You know, what was it that you adjusted?
So yeah, I changed several things. First things first, I changed my footwear. So for people, it's like, basic, but I changed the footwear, the sneakers I was wearing. And it changed a lot of things for me because, as an outdoor jumper, as I told you, I didn't want to use a mat outside. I wanted to keep jumping on different surfaces outside, but with no mat. So in terms of warming up, I took the time, to really warm my body, really feel it warm. And I didn't understand what it meant to feel your limbs being warm enough uh, to execute precise movements. So
Hmm.
the time to warm up, and I still do today, especially nowadays with winter arriving. I take like you say, like 5-10 minutes to warm up, not necessarily with the rope. It can be, doing running a bit or dancing a bit or doing
Dancing.
some
What type of
dancing. Yeah.
dancing?
Um, I, my style would be random dancing. I have no style.
So do you just put
Like
music on and then you just go?
you would not want to see me dance, really. Yeah,
That's
it's like,
funny.
moving my body, feet, cracking all the bones that need to be cracked. And then I go into my training session. I also take the time to cool down, to stretch my legs, my calves, my toes, the sole of my feet, all these areas that I didn't feel were important actually are. So I take the time to do this. I realized the importance of drinking a lot of water.
Yes.
And have a necessary amount of magnesium, especially for us ladies. We tend to lose a lot of magnesium. So paid attention to making, um, salt baths with Epsom salt,
Yep.
things like this, that would allow me to have the enough amount of magnesium or iron in my body, actually. Also, what I changed is I kind of program my sessions and I know what I'm going to do. So I've got two types of trainings. So I train like 3 to 4 times a week. I've got 2 sessions a week that would be dedicated to half jumping rope and half doing, full body training.
Okay.
Whether it's body weight, kettlebells, TRX, things like this. That's 45 minutes of this, and then 20 minutes of HIIT jump rope, and 20 minutes of cooling down. And I've got 2 other sessions that are only dedicated to just freestyling, learning things, no agenda, no timer, nothing. Just me, my time, my rope, and let's do this.
During your HIIT jump rope training, how do you program that? What are your rep schemes, or do you even have rep schemes for that?
I have rep schemes, which would be, it's always 30 seconds on, 20 seconds off. So it could be, high knees, double unders, double under crossovers, but it's always 30 seconds on, 20 seconds off with a timer. Not a fan of timers, but sometimes you have to use them. And I would do this for about 15 to 20 minutes.
This is interesting. So you break apart your different workout goals depending on the day. Some are very focused on specifically having, a physiological adaptation or some kind of gain, whereas you have other practices that are just based on fun and exploration.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is becoming more and more common as I talk with people about that. And that's, I think, a very, very intelligent and smart way to go about breaking things up so that you are very clear about your own goal and why you're showing up to get the work done.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can easily tend to lose yourself in freestyling, just doing this and only this.
Oh yeah.
That was what I was doing in the beginning. In my beginner's days, I was only freestyling, just learning tricks, spending 2, 3, 4 hours trying to do something. And in the end, I was not exercising that much, So I needed to, to make a specific schedule of my trainings, half fun and half, real training, I would say.
Yeah. Is that how you do things today? You the same style of breaking apart your trainings?
That's still how I do things today. Problem is that on Instagram, I only share my freestyles. I don't share my, my HIIT trainings or, my body weight, kettlebell, TRX trainings. Don't ask me why, because I don't know why I do this. But,
you just don't record it?
I don't record it. Yeah, I only record my freestyles. I don't record all of my freestyles. Sometimes, I need to have my, what I said before, my me time.
Yes.
The time that is only for me, not to be recorded, not to be shared. So I don't record all of my sessions. Yeah.
I do the same thing. I go into the gym and a lot of times I'll be working on something that's freestyle. Definitely when I'm doing things that are not jump rope related, I rarely record that.
Yeah.
But yeah, even with jump rope, I'll be in the gym and I'll play around with some stuff sometimes, but I just won't post it because I don't feel like getting the camera out or getting my phone out and doing that whole thing,
Yeah, I think it's kind of a paradox, where social media tends to be so much, public, but we tend to keep a private area in this public, public thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that the other part of my training is kind of my private thing. That's for me. And probably things like this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's for you and it's your time to get the work done, chill out, focus, and then block out. You can't block out everything else. It's your meditation time, really. You can't block out
Exactly.
everything else if you're still focused on sharing and creating something for people to see.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I
Yeah,
totally see
because
that.
people tend to ask me why I don't post more than I do, because I don't post a lot on my page. And it's because, yeah, I've spent a lot of me time, doing things for myself, learning things, refining, defining my technique. So, and sometimes I don't even think of, putting my camera out. And
Hmm.
sometimes I can start a session saying, but I didn't record this. How come? Yeah,
Because you're
it's
just
weird.
so focused. No, I don't think it's weird at all. I think it's because you're just so focused on having a great time and getting the work done.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
100%. Can we go back a little bit? You mentioned that you have this very vibrant personality. Is has
Yeah.
that always been the case? Where does that come from?
It's always been the case because I think it goes back to my childhood. I talked about my parents earlier. I had a really strict education. My parents wanted us to succeed at all costs. So it was school, homework, home. That was my daily routine. Um, so whenever I was at school, since I had a strict education, when I was at school, I was like a clown. I
Hmm.
was always, uh, doing jokes, um, making a representation of myself. I
Hmm.
had this personality. I always wanted to make people laugh. I always wanted to make people, be happy, cheerful. Because when I was at home, my parents would like, do your homework and only your homework. There's no time for fun. And I think that's the reason why I'm like this even today.
Hmm.
So if you talk to my friends or my colleagues, they're saying, how can you be, this Peter Pan? You're not growing up.
Hmm. Right.
You're, you're a woman, but inside of you, there's still a little girl. There's a child in you. Yeah. And I think, yeah, that's probably because of my childhood. Yeah.
Hmm. Have you found yourself to be creative? Do you think that you're a creative person?
Um, with jumping rope, I've become creative, but I think that to become creative, you have to be inspired by people. To me, that's the way it works. I can be creative now. When people say that I have a style, it's really humbling, but I inspired myself from many, many people before reaching that level of creativity that I can have today. Yeah,
Learning all the styles, getting an idea of what's available, testing and trying
exactly.
out a lot of different things, and then blending it to make it your own.
Yeah, see if
Hmm.
it fits you, if it suits you, and if not, then adapt to something else. Yeah, but to be creative, you have to be inspired by people. That's my opinion.
Do you feel like jumping rope, because you started jumping rope, you became more creative, or do you feel like you've always had a little bit of an element of creativity? Because it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like because you are such an excited and fun person and you have this drive to enjoy things and be silly and have fun, that there is an
Yeah.
element of creativity in that already, or no?
Um, I would feel that saying this would be thinking too much of myself. I don't see
Mm,
myself as a creative person. Um, I think that I need to, to give justice to people who've inspired me or who helped me become this person today
mm-hmm,
and this jumper in the community,
mm-hmm,
Because when I was being a clown, when I was a teenager, I was inspired by other people that were clowns as well, I'm not an original, I'm not a creator as such. And I'd be proud if I can be one day, but I don't think I am, honestly.
hmm.
I don't think I am.
So what kept you interested in, or what made you decide to choose certain skills and keep them in your style? What was it? What does it feel like when you're jumping, and why do you keep certain skills versus other ones?
Because when, we're talking about recording your session, when I record my session and I try something and I feel that it's not looking good, it's not narcissistic. It's that I like things to be, precise,
Yes.
detailed, refined, and if I'm trying something that's not looking, flowy enough, refined enough,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not gonna stick with that trick. But if it looks flowy, if people can say it looks effortless, when we know it requires lot of effort, if it looks effortless, if it's if it if it looks, second nature, then I stick to this trick and I say, yeah, I can integrate this in my way of skipping,
Mm.
which does not mean that I do not try stuff uh, that to me would not, you know, adapt in my routine. I try a lot of stuff that I don't show. I
Like
try,
what?
yeah, a lot of tricks. Uh, you know, AS, Kruger's, things like this, Caboose. I try this kind of stuff, but for the moment, I don't feel they, fit in my style. They probably will one
Mm-hmm.
day,
Mm-hmm.
and they will when my brain will, wake up as well. Because,
Mm-hmm.
figuring out some of these tricks is like, wow. It's like, mathematical equation on the board. What the hell is this?
Do
Will
you
I be able?
like that kind of a problem? Do you like solving problems that are very math-ish or they require precision?
Uh, I like the victory, of solving the problem, but the process is, it can be so deterring, you
Mm,
know,
okay.
trying and trying and trying and trying so many times that, you feel like, giving up. The victory, I think, is the best, the best reward. But when I see a mathematical equation on the board, I'm like, oh no, please, no. Can
Mm-hmm.
someone give me the solution right now? And that's, I think, the beauty of this community is that people are showing you how to do. Because back in 2017, I had to look at videos, and slow them down
Mm-hmm.
like a lot to figure out what was going on. Today, there are a lot of jumpers who are, like yourself, like are giving the tips to manage to succeed in doing the trick, which was not the case 2 years ago. The community has really changed over these last two
Yeah, it
years.
has. Mm-hmm.
It has
Absolutely.
popularized, democratized, the tricks. Um, Everybody can, learn from someone. Many tutorials, are being posted every day. So, and it was not the case in 2017. So the mathematical equations today are, you know, more, more easy to solve than it was 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. Because the community was not that big in 2016 or 2017. It is now, with many people like, like me, discovering jumping rope at a late age, and, mixing up with people, with experts like you, like Mike, so many experts that are sharing their passion. And because of you guys, we can now solve this mathematical equation. But honestly, 2 or 3 years ago, it was not the case. It was not, really democratized as such.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see exactly what you're saying. Do you have a specific skill that you remember working really hard on and then eventually it clicked?
I was mentioning the 360. When
Yeah.
I when the 360 clicked in my head, when Bernadette told me how to do it, it it was like a Pandora's box. It opened so many things. Like, wow,
Mm,
there's so many things I know I can do now. So that was the first trick that clicked and, inspired me to do a lot more. And releases were, were a big deal for me as well. Releases were like, that mathematical equation I was talking about. And the latest trick that I've worked on and, refined, worked on really hard was the backwards EB swing. Uh,
yes. Mm-hmm.
this is one of my favorite drills and tricks to do, backwards EB swings. But honestly, I spent about 2 or 3 months trying to figure out how it worked.
Oh, really?
I kept flipping myself all over my face. yeah, really, really, honestly, 2 or 3 months working on this. Because as I was saying, my brain is really, really slow, So yeah, it was for me the most difficult trick, where for some people it can look really easy to understand. For me, it was like, it was impossible to do. And when I, managed to figure out how it worked both ways, right and left, it was, a big victory for me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
This is one.
That's awesome. Let's go back a little bit, like you were saying, to when you were jumping with Bernadette. How was that?
Oh, it was, like a pilgrimage going to see, an OMG person. She taught me so much in about 1 hour, not just in terms of skills, but, in terms of state of mind, what jumping rope meant for her, what her purpose was with that piece of PVC. And we had like the most amazing discussion and the most amazing jump rope session I had at that time. And because of this meetup, this one-to-one meetup, my way of jumping and my way of thinking jumping rope completely changed. Coming back from New York, I was not the same jumper I was before going to New York. Yeah.
What was it that changed? What was it that she taught you that you took away?
In terms of, tricks, as I told you, the 360 opened my mind to so many possibilities with jumping rope. I was able to bring my rope somewhere else than, forward. And for me, it was like, wow, Mimi, let's do this now. Let's do this. Let's try and move around. And her philosophy of, making things fun, make it fun NYC, that's the name of her IG, made me realize that I had to stop jumping rope just for weight loss reasons, just for fitness. But it can be something really fun, something that, can be contagiously fun.
I like that.
And that's what she put into my brain, that it can be contagiously fun. When I see her jumping, I want to grab my rope. And I was like, I want people to feel the same when they see me. If people can tell me, well, Mimi, when I saw you, I grabbed my rope, then my mission is done. That's it. I can quit. Bye-bye, everyone.
Please don't go anywhere. Keep jumping.
So when I came back from New York, I had a philosophy. I knew I wanted to do something more than just losing weight or staying in shape. Yeah, that's what changed when I came back from New York.
So on that tangent, then, what do you hope to accomplish with Jump Up in the future? It sounds like you have a little bit of a drive to do more than just jumping, or is that not true?
Yeah, that was the purpose at the end of 2018. I don't know what's the word in English I created a brand, which is Rope O'Clock. So it was I was using, and I had it, branded. I don't know what's the word to
create a personal brand.
Yeah, create a personal brand. Yeah, in French we say to deposit. Make it an official brand. So I registered my brand.
You formally registered it. Okay.
I registered it. Yeah, I formally registered it because I was using it. I was using a hashtag to say, yeah, it's Rope O'Clock, Rope O'Clock, Rope O'Clock. And one of my friend and followers said, well, you should do something about this because Rope O'Clock sounds good. I was like, really? Yeah. So I made it an official brand, nationally, internationally.
Did you trademark it?
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
That's the word. Okay, trademark. Yeah.
Yeah, I trademarked it. Yeah. And in 2019, I wanted to make something out of it, but unfortunately, life is unpredictable. And at the beginning of 2019, I had a family loss, which, it made 2019 a really tough year for me. So I did not give up on my plans, but I postponed them. I postponed my plans because I needed to take this year to reflect on what I wanted to do, to do my mourning process, heal from the loss I had. And yeah, so I might get back into it for 2020. But the beyond, trademarking something, what I want to do is just, put more ropes in people's hands, Um, I've already done that with my family, my friends, my colleagues. Uh, I I converted them into jumping rope, which is for me a big victory,
Mm-hmm.
I want people to know that there's an expression that says it's never too late and you're never too old. Um,
Yes.
I don't want to speak about my age, but I'm in my 30s, if people want to know. And I realized that it's never too late to start jumping rope, to start doing something new, to start discovering a passion. Passion can become when you least expect it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to share with people, that you can do this with your own style, with your own way of expressing yourself. And yeah, I want to put more ropes in people's hands if that's possible. That's my main focus right now.
I think it's very possible.
Not necessarily doing business, because I think business can change people's minds, but spreading the good word, spreading the passion, spreading the joy of jumping rope or any other discipline, but for me it will be jumping rope. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. The business is just a means to an end. It's not the sole focus.
exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that 100%, actually. I think this is probably a pretty good spot to kind of hit the main question of the podcast, which is, what is jump rope to you?
It's so many things. Jumping rope is, for me, it's a humbling discovery. um it made me realize that I can rediscover things, that I can learn things at an adult age. um it made me I'm often asked, whether I wish I had discovered jumping ropes as a teenager or as a kid, and my answer is always the same. I don't regret discovering jumping rope 2 years ago. For me, it was probably the perfect timing. So yeah, jumping rope has changed my way of thinking, my mental health. Um, as I told you, I had a family loss, and jumping rope has helped me like a lot in my mourning process. So um, it's it has allowed me to discover a new family, because this community is more than a community. It's a family. It's a family with people from all over the world gathered on social media, and sharing their passion, their tricks, their tips, their doubts, their fears. All this is allowed thanks to jumping rope and social media. So, um, on a personal note, jumping rope is also for me, a window of time, a time window just for me, just for myself. When I'm jumping rope, it's my time with no timer. It's me, my rope, and nothing else. It's an outlet for all my fears, all my angers, all my stress that I have from work, from my family, for all these kind of things. It's an outlet for uh, my sadness when I'm sad, or my anger when I'm angry. It's the French word for outlet is exutoire in French, which is spelled Exutoire, and it says that to let things exit out of you. And this is what jumping rope is for me. I can jump rope when I'm sad. I can jump rope when I'm not in a good mood. I can jump rope when I'm happy. I can jump rope in any kind of state of mind, and that's awesome. I was not able to do that when I was running. If I was in a bad mood, I would not go running. I would stay in my sofa with ice cream. But now I can be sad and still pick my rope, and my jumping rope will cheer me up. And this is for me. It's kind of it has a magical power in some way. So jumping rope will also taught me how to manage my frustration, how to manage my eagerness. It also has taught me how to be proud of myself. And I discovered that it's okay to say, well done, Mimi, you're good at something. I'm not saying I'm good at jumping rope, but I'm good at what I do.
Yes.
And before that, I did not allow myself to say, Mimi, you're good at this. Mimi, you should be proud of yourself. But when you manage to do a trick, when you manage to land a triple under, when you manage to do something that you thought was unachievable, then with jumping rope, I discovered it's okay to pat yourself on the shoulder and say, well done, well done. So yeah, it has taught me how to be proud of myself, which was not the case before. So jumping rope is all those things, you know. It's a discovery that I'll never regret coming across, you know, never, ever. I don't know if I'll be jumping rope for 10, 20, 30 years, but it's one of the best things that has ever happened in my life. Yeah, honestly.
Well, that was seriously a phenomenal answer. Wow. I mean, so I usually record the podcast in the morning, and I'm doing that right now. For me, it's about 7 in the morning. This is like the best way for me to start my day. Just hearing you say that is like, yeah, I totally agree that's such a good answer. And yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me this morning, because yeah, every conversation is great, but it's so nice to like have this interaction, you know, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
And I really appreciate you taking the time, to talk with us, because as I was saying, I have a personality that is not shown on social media. My personality is I'm an outgoing person, but I don't show this on social media. Social media is not really translating what I'm in life. So thank you for, allowing people to see what we are behind an IG name, behind an IG, behind Mimi, there's a person. And thanks for doing this, because with all of your podcasts, I've discovered the personalities of all the jumpers you've interviewed, even though for most of them, I talk with them, via DMs or so on. But, hearing them talk for about an hour about jumping rope is really discovering them under another scope. So thank you, Nate, for doing this. Thank you so, so much for doing this. You have no idea how this, you're like the Nokia connecting people of all this, you make us, connect in another way. So yeah, thank you for doing this. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate that. I'm really glad that you feel that way. I've always wanted to just share this thing that is exciting for me, and I'm really happy and I have a lot of fun being inside of this community with the family, right? Like you said, with this family. So, that's going to be that's a really solid place to kind of wrap up here. For sure. We'll be chatting a lot. I'm no doubt, for sure. Nice. All right. Well, you have a great rest of your evening. Yeah.
And you, have a great day.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. We will catch up with you soon.
Okay. Thank you, Nate. Thank you so much.